Welcome back to our Math 171 video series. Today we'll go over how to draw various graphs. We'll begin with a linear graph. A linear graph is denoted by any function that only has x to the first power. Here we'll have y equals 2x minus 3. We're going to first learn how to plot points to draw our graph. When I say plotting points, what I mean is selecting various x values, finding the y's that accompany them, and then plotting those points on the graph and connecting them. What we'll do is make a table that has both x's and y's. Before we go any further, let's select our x's. We'll pick some x values that are fairly easy to use. Let's try 0, 1, and 2. It doesn't matter which ones you select, but these are the ones that I think are going to make the math the clearest. We'll start by letting x become 0. Now we look to our function, 2x minus 3. Let's replace that x with 0. If we replace that x with 0, we'll have 2 times 0 minus 3. If we do the math here, 2 times 0 gives us 0, then minus 3. 0 minus 3 gives us negative 3. Therefore, our point will be 0, negative 3. Before we plot this on the graph, let's repeat this process for the other x values we know. We'll take 2 times 1 minus 3 also. 2 times 1 gives us 2, and then we subtract 3. 2 minus 3 is negative 1, and so our next point is 1, negative 1. If we plug in 2 in the same position, we'll have 2 times 2 minus 3. 2 times 2 will give us 4, and still we subtract 3. This gives us positive 1, and so our next point is 2, 1. X was 2, y was 1. Now we will place the points we just found on this graph to the right. Our first point is 0, negative 3. We locate negative 3 on the y-axis. Our x is 0, so it will be right on top of the axis. And so our first point is at this first white dot. Our next point will be at 1, negative 1, so we'll go right over to where x equals 1 and make another dot at 1, negative 1. Our next point will be 2, positive 1, and so we'll go over to where x is 2 and we'll go up to positive 1 on the y-axis. So right by 2, up by 1. Then we will connect the dots with a straight line. So now we have drawn the graph for y equals 2x minus 3. However, there is another method which may speed up this process. Rather than plotting the points, we can begin by finding the y-intercept and rate of change. When you're looking at a linear function, the y-intercept is the number that does not have x attached to it. In our linear function on the right, our y-intercept will be this negative 3 here. With that y-intercept, what we'll do is go to the y-axis and place our first dot at negative 3 directly on the y-axis. We'll go to our y-axis and locate negative 3 and place a dot in that position. This will be our y-intercept. We can also write this as 0, negative 3. Now, rather than plotting more points directly, what we can do is use the number that is attached to x. This will give us our rate of change. For our function, the 2 will be our rate of change. What we'll do in order to make our next point is we can go right by 1 and go either up or down by whatever the rate of change is. Our rate is positive 2 in this case. Since our rate is positive 2, we will go right by 1, and then since we're positive, we'll go up 2. So on the graph, we will mark off 1 to the right in these red dashes, and then up by 2 in some more red dashes. We'll mark that this distance from the dot to this corner that I've drawn is 1, and the distance from that corner to where I'm going to place my new dot will be 2. I will place my white dot on the other end of that line. So we're not placing a dot where the 1 and the 2 meet. We're going right by 1, then up by 2, then placing 1 dot. After we place that dot, now we'll have 2 dots on our graph, and we'll connect them with a straight line. Therefore, our graph will look something like this. Notice that this is exactly the same as the line we got previously. So this is how we graph a linear function using the y-intercept and the rate of change rather than plotting.